Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash. Alright, double honors go out to our apostles, elders, great millstone, who rule and teach well. Shalom, Barakim to you brothers and sisters out there. Alright, this is the brother Malachi from the Great Millstone Nashville branch. And Lord, one that this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. Lord, one that's not too noisy. I don't even know where that other noise is coming from at this point, but I tried to stuff a piece of clothing between this door behind me because it always be, for those that have seen my in-transit lessons, it always be rattling. And especially when I'm trying to do a lesson or listen to a lesson, but any other time, it ain't as bad. You know how that is. But Lord, one that this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and read this and just go from there, through the Spirit, right? So Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 and 17. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." Okay, so what this is going into, the mark, the MOTB, all right, as we call it, the acronym for, mark of the, mark of the brute. Which I don't even, at least for my channel, I don't think they really go hard on it. So I'm gonna just say it, mark of the beast. I don't think for my channel, I don't think they pay attention to my channel like that. So that's what it's called. The acronym MLTB is mark of the beast. All right, and what that is the RFID microchip implant. Now, if you're in Europe or maybe some other places also, it's not going to be called RFID. It'll be called NFC, right? Which RFID is radio frequency identification device, and NFC is near field communications, if I'm not mistaken. So don't think, so I can't take the RFID, but I can take the NFC. No, don't be simple, Jake. Our people have a tendency to be simple-minded, to be small-brained. No. All right, when we say RFID microchip, that means the implant chip, period. All right, because they also have the brain chip, which that could be Neuralink or there's other companies, if I'm not mistaken, that are selling that shit or getting ready to bring that out. You can't take no implant, okay? No brain implant, which most people are going to get the chip in their hand. All right, the brain implant is going to be more so for, I would say, well, like brothers have said, the rich people, people that have more money, so they're able to get the higher tech stuff, and then also, probably for people that are sick or paralyzed, because that's part of the miracles or the wonders of the beast, how people will be able to be healed by this man's witchcraft. His technology is AI, all right, which we can see every day that AI is becoming more prevalent, I believe is the word, prevalent in our society. Well, in his society, not our society, Salakia, but you know what I meant. And so basically the microchip, all right, the chip, the implant, you can't take that. Now, a lot of people right now, even heathens right now will, most of them will say, "Well, I'm not taking that. I'm not going to take that." Well, bullshit. Somebody's going to take it. Most people are going to take it. So how are you going to say that you're not going to take it? Well, I don't like the idea of that. Well, I don't want them knowing what I'm doing at all times. That's too much control. See, people can say these things now because it has not been mandated. And that's the biggest part of this prophecy about the mark of the beast, is the fact that it's going to be made mandatory. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down what we just read. All right, it says, verse 16, and he causeth all. So who is the he here? All right, the he is not the spiritual demon Satan. All right, the he is talking about not even really the Edomites, but I mean the Edomites, but more specific than that, the elite banker families, the so-called Illuminati. All right, the you know, really Amalek, you know, but the elites. Okay, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, you know, DuPonts. I think I heard Gettys. There's a few. I think they might have 13 families, and then they also be renaming themselves and shit. But the elites, all right, basically the rulers of this earth. Job 9 and 24, which we know Job 9 and 24 is talking about the nation of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man collectively. But especially right now, because right now your average Edomite doesn't really rule too much. You know, he's got leverage over you, but he don't rule society like the level of the elites. The elites have heaped up all the treasure and the wealth and the power for themselves, right? Which shows the difference between Jacob and Esau, because Yahweh Shai is the only one that really deserves the kingdom, yet he's going to have joint heirs, the elect. And then all Israel will ultimately receive the kingdom of heaven and be able to be in a state of power and have wealth. All right, you got Edomites right now that are homeless, and we don't give a fuck. All right, we're not giving them $5. We don't care. Okay, you need to take that up with I almost said Jacob Rothschild, which apparently he's dead, which we don't know. All right, and we actually hope he's not dead, so that way he can be one of the first fruits. But regardless of that, them slots of the first fruits, them slots of the slaves that are going to be burying the bodies and doing, you know, the beginning work, it's already written who they are. Them spots are going to get filled. You know, the employment is there. All right, nobody's going to have to worry about not getting a job. You're going to have a job. It's already there. You know, we already know who we want for a specific job, and we already know what time too. And I'm not saying literally what time, but I'm saying the Heavenly Father knows. He got it all set up, so best believe you ain't gonna have a clipboard and a pencil and you got 10 names for this little area right here, and you're like, wait, where's this one guy at? No, he's gonna be there. All right, that's guaranteed. So whether Jacob Rothschild is a first fruit or not, we don't give a fuck. All right, but he's more than likely not actually dead. But anyways, it says he causeth all. So right there, we don't even really need to read the examples, you know, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, because when it says all, boom, that's everybody. Okay, the whole planet Earth, especially Americans. All right, especially Americans, but the whole, because this is Babylon. This is the mystery of Babylon. You know, this is the fucking laboratory Esau Edom, where he brings out all of his freakazoid monsters and shit. Okay, but all the earth, oikomeni. The hour of temptation, I believe in Revelations 3 and 10, it mentions the earth, oikomeni, right? The whole inhabited planet. All right, that is who it all is. Everybody, whether you're an Israelite, an Edomite, Hamite, whether you're fat, skinny, tall, short, straight, mole, whether you have kids, whether you don't have kids, Esau don't give a fuck. He want a chip in your body. Okay, and then it says to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, it doesn't mean everybody's going to receive it in their right hand. All right, they might get it in their left hand. They might get it in their arm. Most people are going to get it in their right hand, between their thumb and their index finger. And the irony is, the same people that are mocking us and making fun of us for thinking that this is the microchip implant, they probably going to get it in their right hand. The same guy that said, well, what if I get it in my butt cheek? You know damn well your dumb ass going to get that in your right hand, man. Because that's the best place for them to put it. Because I guess I heard, well, first of all, it's a fleshy area. It's kind of like the web of your hand. And it's also a very important part of your hand too, because it helps with your thumb. It's a big, basically, I believe it's a big muscle in your hand. And I believe it has something to do too with the body temp there, you know. But when you go into that word mark, because first of all, even just reading this in itself, you know, especially verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, you're not going to be able to purchase, you're not going to be able to operate in a monetary society, in society, period, unless you have it. So we already know just off of reading it plainly that this is something literal. It's not a spiritual mark. All right, and then like elders always say, why would Esau have a spiritual mark? This man is carnal. All right, his blessing is carnal. Why the hell would he have a spiritual mark? Now there's a spiritual mark in Ezekiel 9. All right, Dawa in the Hebrew, which is exemption from judgment. That's going to be on the elect, which represents this truth. All right, Psalms 91, that secret place. Okay, but no, this mark is obviously literal. It's obviously physical. Okay, and hold on, the dude is starting to break hella hard. Excuse me. I lost my train of thought. It's obviously physical. All right, and obviously one of the main things it deals with is transactions. All right, which we already see how it went from cash, then some people had checks, then it went to swiping a card, then it went to inserting a chip on a card, then it went to tapping your card, then it went to tapping your phone. Like, we can see where this is going. Okay, we can see that, you know, now they got face scan, they got fingerprint scan, you know, every damn scan. Okay, now you're not going off for using tap on your card. All right, you're not going off for using face scan. I use some things, they're convenient, but there's a limit. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with convenience, but there's a limit, bro. We're not finna get no goddamn chip in our hand, okay? Especially because the Most High said no. That's the biggest thing. Well, why can't I get it, man? I'm hungry. Because the Most High said no, okay? And you're making cuttings in your flesh. Well, you got a chip on your debit card, but it's not in my fucking hand. It's not literally inside my hand, under my skin. Like, come on, bro. Like, who in their right mind, you know, even prior to mandation, because some people got it now. Who the hell? Yeah, well, I got it because I don't want to lose my car keys or my wallet. You haven't lost the shit yet. Be more accountable and responsible, you lazy fuck. You know? Like, there's absolutely no excuse to get this damn chip, man. Even now, which, I mean, everything, you know, you can see that you have a job now. You know that the check is coming Friday. But who gave you that job? The Lord. So if the Lord is the one feeding you now, just through society, because we use the world but don't abuse it, when we're ousted of society, cast it out, you don't think the Lord's going to take care of you then like he is now? Say, come on, genius. You're in the left lane. Let's act like it. So I can get over. Alright, Salaki. I wanted to get over so that dude on the shoulder wouldn't get too close to him. Damn, keep losing my train of thought, man. But yeah, so when you go into that word mark, it's charagma. When you go into the root word, it's charax. You also have a word when you go into 603 called stigma. Now, when you look at all three of these words, they all go together, and what it ultimately sums up to all talking about is a prick, an incision, all right, something that is getting placed on your skin. It's a mark that's branded upon slaves, okay? I believe one also, I think it might be charax, it goes into a palisade or a stake. Or no, I think that might be, well, shit, hold on. Let me do this. Real quick. I'm going to try to get all three. Alright, so G5480, charagma, a stamp, an imprinted mark. Alright, it says followers of the Antichrist. We know there's many Antichrists. Think carved, sculpted, graven work. Alright, so basically, it's a mark branded upon horses. A badge of servitude, so it says a scratch or etching. Okay, so that in itself is already very revealing. Now let's go into the root. G5482, charax, a pale or stake, a palisade. Alright, what does that sound like? That sounds like which it also goes into scratching, but it sounds like the needle that they gonna poke into your hand. Which didn't the Lord say not to make cuttings in your flesh? And what you need to understand too, you look at brothers, right? Some brothers got tattoos. You can repent from a tattoo. You didn't know it was off. You got it when you were young, whatever. Okay. Nobody gives a fuck. You know, we all went off. We all made mistakes. We all sinned. But if you over here, you get the MOTB. No, this is a sin that you can't repent from, man. You're going to be destroyed. All right? Revelations, the 14th chapter, talks about that. Especially if you're over here in America, you're going to get hit with them nuclear missiles, bro. So we're telling you not to take it. Not because we want you to be hungry, not because we want you to be separated from your family and to you know, be persecuted and possibly put to death by Esau Edom. All right, but because we care for your souls. We love our people, man. All right? Just like, you know, shit, and our teachers, the apostles and elders, they love us too. And we all love Jake. We love Israel, man. That's why we're warning our people and telling them, look, you can't take this shit. You can't do this. Okay? So, like, since there's starting to become more people, the computer's going to probably start talking. It says increase following distance, and I can never even read a license plate because I don't tailgate like that. Especially not in this damn truck. But let me get stigma and then I'll close out. And also, a side point I wanted to make too. Ecclesiastes 1:9 lets us know that there's nothing new under the sun. Right? So, that doesn't mean they had the RFID chip back in 1353. Okay? But the idea of it has been around. Okay? Back when you had, you know, the idea of, especially Esau or really the heathens trying to force us to worship idols. You know, you had the time of Nebuchadnezzar with that statue. He wanted everybody to bow down to that image. And if they didn't bow down, they would be put to death. They'd be thrown in the furnace. All right, which the Lord delivered Daniel's 3 friends. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right, what is it? Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael, I believe is their real names. All right, because the first names I named, it's still the same. It's the same people, but that's like their government name. Okay. Like for example, you might have a brother. His real name is William, but his government name is William, but his real name is Kazakh, you know, or whatever. Okay, just for example. And that's not, no, I didn't name myself. Okay, we're not putting out no personal information, man. That's not wise. Right? You gotta be careful what you say because you don't know who's watching. And then it's just also not necessary. Alright, but anyways, then you also had the time of the Maccabees with the mother and her 7 sons, and Antiochus or Antiochus, that Edomite bastard, he was trying to force them to eat swine, and if they didn't conform and worship idols, they would have been put to death, right? Which they were tortured, you know, but they had the spirit of Yahweh Shemal Shai on them, man, you know, and it was beautiful. It was lovely. Not the torture, but I'm saying the boldness that they had in their spirit. It reminds me of this one dude too, which he came, you know, after Yahushai, but you can read about it, look him up. I forgot the, you know, the man's name. All right, but he was put on a grill for Yahushai's sake, you know, I believe a couple hundred years later, and or 100 years later or something. And he told them, because I guess they checked on him, and he was like, "You can flip me over, I'm done on this side." I was like, what the fuck? That's the boldness of Yahweh Shemal Shai that he can put on you, man. All right, so we need not to fret. All right, don't worry. Look up that word fret. All right, that's the word of the day. Don't fret, man. There's no point. Yahweh Shemal Shai had us since the beginning. He got us today in the end. All right. Yeah, let me get that word for stigma. Now this one, sometimes they make it a little tricky to find. Chai size stigma. Get over real quick. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so stigma. Now you can read that for yourself, because I don't want to read a whole paragraph while I'm driving, but It says a mark pricked or branded upon the body, and then it goes into how it's for slaves. So you see how all of these go together, and then it says to stick the prick. So all of these are going together. It's the same thing, you know. All three of these words come together and show us that, along with like Yahushua said, Matthew 13:11. These things are plain unto these things are revealed unto you, but to them they are not given. All right, you were given the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. All right, and then in Sirach, I believe it's chapter 34 or 39 and 24, or you can just paraphrase it, it'll come up. The book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, I believe it's 39 and 24. It talks about how these things are plain unto the holy, but they're stumbling blocks unto the wicked. All right, Daniel 12 and 10. None of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. All right, so only the men of the Lord are gonna, and the women, who believe. All right, men, women, and children. All right, but only the elect are going to believe on I almost said the proper true doctrine. All right, but it's very plain that this is talking about the microchip implant. All right, so Lord, when this lesson was edifying, Lord, when I didn't ramble too much, I tried to, quote scriptures. But before I close, I want to give all praise to Yahweh B'Shem El Shai B'Shem Rachah HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles, elders, great millstone, rule and teach well. Shalom, wa barakiam to you brothers and sisters out there, man. Shalom.